any better chance in this penalty phase than you did in the trial just concluded?
Well, again, we're very, very hopeful that the jury would return a verdict of life. Death certainly wouldn't be appropriate.
Paul, what did the defendants say during
A defense will be presented at penalty, yes.
Paul, what did the defendants say while the verdicts were being read? They were discussing it with some of the attorneys.
The defendants actually anticipated the verdict. They expected the worst. They expected the worst from the beginning. They thought that the verdict was predetermined from the start of the trial, as many of you gentlemen well know.
Paul, do you think these verdicts can be sustained when the appeals go to the higher courts? Do you see grounds for reversal?
Well, certainly we feel that the overriding, overwhelming issue on appeal is going to be the nature of the prejudicial pretrial publicity and the fact that a change of venue was denied prior to trial.
Mr. Bugliosi, the defense says that they were stymied from the start because they wanted to change the venue and didn't get it, and that the jury was hostile toward them, that in fact they were a hanging jury when they went in.
I don't believe that. This jury is 12 people chosen from this community. They based their verdict solely and exclusively on the evidence that came from that witness stand. They were not influenced in any fashion whatsoever from any pretrial publicity. This is just weeping on the part of the defense.
Are you going to...
You know what? The prosecution has spent 8 months presenting one side. The press has been the mouthpiece of the prosecution, and they've succeeded in brainwashing a lot of people into believing everything that Bugliosi has presented, his so-called race war theory. Charlie never preached a race war. He's seen that the people that have been on the bottom, it's time for them to come to the top. You know, the revolution's on. 8 months of one side, the public has heard, and nothing else. They've thrown the Constitution in the wastebasket. These people have not had a fair trial. From the very onset of this trial, from the very beginning, there has not been one single right, constitutional right, granted to these people. They haven't even been allowed to put on a defense.
Were you surprised by the verdict?
Nobody has been allowed to testify. The verdict doesn't make any difference. It's what they have done to Manson. It's what they are now doing to a lot of people in jail. And it's going to be done to you people next.
What?
Sit down.
Penalty phase.
Well, the penalty phase, as you know, is going to begin on Thursday, and we would hope that while the jury has convicted these defendants beyond any reasonable doubt, they may have some lingering doubt about whether or not they're guilty. They might also take into consideration the defendants' backgrounds and history and may return a proper verdict of life.
You yell to the judge after the jurors went out?
Something to the effect that it took place at about the time that the jury was being polled, and I think he said that I think they're all guilty, referring to the jury.
What did he say, Paul?
He said something in the direction of the jury that they're all guilty,
But
apparently meaning the jury.
The girls were prepared for what they heard there this morning.
Oh, yes, the girls were acclimated to the guilty verdict on all counts.
Paul, how does it shape up for the appeals process now? Will it be a long and lengthy procedure, as everyone suspects?
Well, under California law, Mr. Miller, in the event the defendants are assessed the death penalty, there is an appeal that's automatically taken to the California Supreme Court. In the event that the jury returns one or more verdicts of life, of course, an appeal will follow in the normal procedure, and a notice of appeal will be filed approximately 10 days after the determination.
Will you stick with it, Paul?
Yes, we'll stick with penalty, and I want to stick with it through appeal.
Are you going to present a defense during penalty?
Yes, we are going to present what could be considered a defense.
Can you give us an idea of what that might be?
No, I can't, not at this time.
Will the defendants testify in the penalty phase?
That's problematical at this point. The defendants may testify at penalty. That's yet to be decided.
Did the Van Houten verdict surprise you?
Very much so. I think that the big surprise expressed at the council table was the Van Houten verdict and the verdict on the conspiracy counts.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Joe.
Roll down. Marty? Mr. Bugliosi, can you come up for just a little? Thank you.
Okay, now can you give us your initial reaction? Heads down. Put it on the other side. Sure. Around this way. There you go.
the courthouse.
7 months. What is the significance, as you see, of the entire trial to perhaps the criminal system?
Well, many, many new issues have been raised in this trial, which I couldn't go into right now, but almost unprecedented issues have arisen, which the California Supreme Court and United States Supreme Court are going to deal with for the first time.
Well,
How
you
many
have
years
the
do
death
you think
penalty.
this case is going to be in the courts, Mr. Bugliosi?
At least 3 or 4 years.
In those closing moments, we heard Charles Manson once again shout out, why didn't we present a defense? What was your reaction?
Well, I told the jury that the defendants had a right to put on a defense. They did not come into this courtroom handcuffed. The defense attorneys could have subpoenaed witnesses to that witness stand just like the prosecution did.
One or two of the issues that you say are going to be unprecedented issues that are brought up by the trial.
Well, I think
Just one or two.
I have no absolute knowledge, but I don't think any case in history has received this much pre-trial publicity throughout the world. That certainly is one issue. The disappearance of an attorney during the case and an appointment of a substitute attorney at the last second. President Nixon's statement. Now, I blame Charles Manson for that. The jury did not have access to President Nixon's statement. It was Charles Manson himself who showed that headline to the jury. But obviously that's going to be an issue on appeal. Several other issues. The magnitude, the complexity of this trial was just staggering.
Do you expect more trouble in appeal than you had in the actual trial? I mean, in penalty, rather.
I'm confident that the courts upstairs are going to affirm this conviction.
Is there any move that you made during the trial that you regret?
No. Every movement that I make in court, by and large, is not spontaneous. I measure my words. I'm up till 2 and 3 every morning. So any movement I made had been thought about long in advance.
Including obscenities? Protection?
Obscenities? I don't know of any obscenities. Well, suffice it to say that no defendant whom I prosecute is particularly in love with me, and these defendants are no exception. That's about all I'd like to say about
Have you made
that.
up your mind not to try to prove up the amendment at straight faces of penalty phase?
No, I haven't, Carl. I haven't made up my mind on that. I realize that this is 1 second before midnight, but I haven't made up my mind on that yet.
Would you like to go through this kind of a trial again?
Well, I'm kind of a courtroom battler. I like a trial. I like the excitement, the drama. I was very honored that my office selected me to handle a trial of this magnitude. I think if, in retrospect, I would have accepted again, although the trial did create problems that I never anticipated.
Isn't this a big strain on asking 7 or 12 jurors to wait 7 months in a hotel room?
Yes, it is. It's an enormous imposition on their personal, private lives, unquestionably. And they've stood up remarkably well.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vince.
Yeah.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I don't know. Yeah, they're all.
How do you react to the verdict?
My reaction is that it's a sad day for all of us that the administration of a criminal case where people are charged with serious crimes has to take place in an atmosphere that we have right here. I believe in freedom of speech. I think all of us here believe in freedom of speech, but there is no such thing as an absolute freedom. For instance, you can't use free speech as an excuse to commit libel or slander. And by the same token, we have here a case that for some reason or other, this is an objectively ascertainable fact. The jury, since I believe January 15th, has had this case. They've had at least 7 days plus of full deliberations. And the thing that we have to think about in connection with publicity is what effect does it have upon 12 people who know that they are in an atmosphere such as we have in this Hall of Justice. This Hall of Justice is an armed fortress. There are people on top of the Hall of Justice with guns. Everyone that comes into this Hall of Justice is searched, male and female. The deputies are searched. The deputies search the deputies. Everybody searches everybody. And I mean, in this kind of an atmosphere, my subjective feelings are important, but what you did in this case, back in December of 16, at an office of the district attorney's office. You are part and parcel of the district attorney of Los Angeles County. You are his right arm.
Mr. Kaderick, there have been people who have assailed your alleged obstructionism as being responsible for what you term the carnival atmosphere of this trial.
Well, then let me say this. The genesis of an objection is an improper question. The man who asks an improper question asks for an objection. And if you look at it analytically, that's the point. And the point is that what we're talking about here right now is the publicity aspect of it. The fact of the matter is that prosecutors are very clever. Prosecutors know that the jury comes from out in the public, and whatever the prosecution has done in this case rather than go into details right now, because we still have a penalty phase coming up, there's no question about it. But what the prosecution in this case has used this trial for political purposes, the mass media and the public have used it for entertainment purposes. The question that we have to resolve is, and there's some very delicate questions of law involved in this case, were those questions of law analyzed in a detached, you might say, ivory tower atmosphere, or were they analyzed in some other atmosphere? This is the big question, because we're dealing with, as I say, an armed fortress. This Hall of Justice is an armed fortress. Everybody that comes in or out, or anyone that goes in, is searched, male, female, everyone.
Mr. Bugliosi said a while ago.
The press is not guilty of any crime, I suppose, any premeditated crime. The press, historically, our press has always been out there trying to get the story. What we're saying is that there are let's put it this way. The district attorney of Los Angeles County and the Los Angeles Police Department had the capacity not to do certain things, which they did in connection with this case. And they started the ball a-rolling. There's no question about it.
Don't you think the direct participants in the proceedings
and the Los Angeles Times. Pardon?
Don't you think the direct participants in the proceedings in the courtroom have the ability to create the carnival atmosphere?
This carnival atmosphere started before there were any court appearances. This carnival atmosphere started way back in December, and before that in 1969. And the fact that people all over the world are interested in this case and so forth is because the district attorney of Los Angeles County wanted to become attorney general, and he used this case for publicity purposes. It's a cleverly calculated scheme. And because the district attorney, for instance, has a publicity department. Incredible as it may seem, there's an actual department in the district attorney's office that feeds publicity. Now, the district attorney of Los Angeles County was found in contempt of court. The man that's now Attorney General of the state of California, he was found in contempt of court for deliberately violating a court order on publicity. The appellate department of the Superior Court sustained that conviction of contempt. That's a lot. Some of you know that it gives you more publicity for the state law really is of no significance. I've been on long cases before. This isn't the... Go ahead. What do you want? We need your back. The jury was out for many days, 7 full days of
The penalty phase of the trial begins Thursday. Some say this could last 2 months or even more. Defense attorneys and the defendants will no longer argue innocence or guilt, but rather life or death. John Marshall, Channel 5 News, reporting.
Can we go somewhere else?
Yeah.
Oh, she's
On the Manson fact.
Well, you tell us what the other side is. What is the other side?
As soon as they let us testify. Why won't they let us testify?
Well, I can tell the public right now. What's the other side?
We cannot speak for Charles Manson. We cannot speak for Patricia Krenwinkel, Leslie Van Houten, or Susan Atkins. Why can't they speak to you? Because they're hiding their words.
I was there. I just left that building.
Why didn't the defense put on your side of what happened? Why did they...
Because they're hiding the truth. In the name of fair trial, there's no fair
In other
trial.
words, do you think Charlie and the rest of the girls wanted to tell their side?
But I feel sorry for you. I respect your opinion and your feelings.
During the penalty?
Themselves, and they are going to get back everything they've put out.
The others, but to protect him.
He would tell you.
Because bad news.
Why do you have no sympathy for him? I don't understand.
Well, actually, for the crime that he did. See? In other words, I'm no better than he is, and in a certain respect I am. Now, if I commit a crime, if I, say, pull an armed robbery and kill someone, I'm there to get some money. But I'm not going to go and kill people just for the hell of killing them for a political reason or otherwise.
When did you last see Manson?
Oh, about 2 weeks ago.
Do you talk to him often? Or?
I talked to him because...
What does he tell you?
See, since he's in the focus, say, of the world, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He's a celebrity, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, I'm there, Kenneth. Now, maybe 30 years from now, he'll still be a celebrity, and I can say, well, I know him. I talked with him. Now, I don't respect him, but nevertheless, I was there.
Has he ever said anything to you that might be considered, in your opinion, to be an admission of guilt?
Well, I'll tell you what, if he did, I wouldn't tell you.
Why?
Because it's not in my nature to do so.
That's right. Well, you seem
In other
to
words,
talk.
you're saying...
You seem to talk as though the
In
man
other
is
words,
guilty.
you're saying... No, you're saying that if I was able to... If he was to tell me something that to indicate that he was guilty, and that if I'd have presented these facts to the people, and that I could have walked, if I would have done so, more or less, I wouldn't have did it. That's not in my nature to do so.
When you did talk to him, what did you...
Oh, well, how you doing? How they treating you? How's the case going?
Mm-hmm.
The case is going beautiful, you know.
Is that what he says?
Well, the man, you've got to give him credit for it. See, here's a man that you can't. When you kill him, you'll kill him in the gas chamber, but you can't kill him up there. The man's got too much soul. See, he believes in what he thinks is right. Just like the President of the United States believes that what he's doing is right. Otherwise, we wouldn't have our troops in Vietnam, right? Well, he believes in his heart that what he's done was right. But I believe that what he did, he's sick. That's only my opinion.
Well, you say he did it. Why do you keep saying this?
Well, maybe I am brainwashed because of what I've read. I wasn't there. Nobody was there.
What's your name, please?
Joe Fernandez.
Where you live, Joe?